This activity on facial expressions will examine the degree of lateralization of emotional processing. In other words, you'll be looking at the involvement of your left and right hemispheres when you react to facial expressions of emotion. By the end of this activity, you should be able to collect data about emotional processing and calculate your own degree of brain lateralization for processing facial expressions. So this is on the topic of brain lateralization, or sidedness, which gets all sorts of media attention. The standard story is that the left brain is analytical and logical. It's involved in math and language skills. The right brain is more intuitive and creative. It's important for musical ability and holistic thinking. The problem with this view is that it's wrong, or at least extremely oversimplified. The idea that we are right-brained or left-brained is very popular, but it turns out we use our whole brain. We just recruit the left and right hemispheres for different tasks. In fact, the left and right brains cooperate all the time and help us make sense of our world. This lab activity aims to investigate brain lateralization of emotional processing by looking to see if you have a side bias in making decisions about emotional expressions on faces. Now, extracting emotional information from displays of behavior is a vital skill for getting along with others. We're actually really good at it, and in fact, we can pick up on the feelings of other species. Take these two dogs. Which one would you be more comfortable dog sitting for a weekend? Probably the one on the top. The ability to accurately express emotional states is often referred to as emotional encoding. These dogs here are fantastic encoders, since we can easily figure out how they're feeling. Now, the ability to interpret an emotional display is referred to as emotional decoding, which you had to do when making a decision about which dog you wanted to dog sit. Now, research shows that there is a sidedness or lateralization for emotional processing. In order to investigate this, we need to first consider how visual information is represented in the brain. The primary visual cortex in each hemisphere receives information from the opposite side of visual space, as shown here in this diagram. This arrangement is referred to as contralateral. Contra means opposite and lateral means side. The left side of visual space hits both the left and right eyes, as shown here. The visual system conserves this sidedness and carries the information about the left side of visual space to the visual cortex in the right hemisphere. Since each side of visual space is housed in the contralateral hemisphere, we can use this knowledge to investigate hemispheric processing of particular types of stimuli. So in other words, if one hemisphere is more sensitive to information with emotional content, then individuals should show a side bias in how they respond to emotional information presented to the right and left. We're going to test this by using a stimulus that presents smiles preferentially to each hemisphere. It turns out that most people are right lateralized for processing facial expressions of emotion, meaning that the right hemisphere is much more heavily involved than the left. So you're going to be doing the Chimeric faces test. So on a piece of paper, write the numbers 1 to 20 down the left-hand side. You're going to be shown 20 pairs of chimeric faces for 6 seconds each. So what your task is, for each pair of faces, choose the one that looks happier, either the top or the bottom. And you can indicate this with the T for top or a B for bottom. You're going to use your data to calculate your laterality quotient, which is a numerical value that represents how lateralized or sided someone is when doing this type of task.